News Central now at this hour begins at the court, where Justice Obiora Egbatu of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has granted bail to about 67 minors to the tune of 10 million naira each out of the 76 that were arraigned. Those granted bail who are below 15 years are expected to present one surety who must be a civil servant. Meanwhile, another 87 who are adults are currently being arraigned on the same charges. We will continue to probe this matter and bring you more details as it unfolds. Staying with judicial matters, the Federal High Court in Lagos has ordered the final forfeiture of $2.045 million, 7 prime properties and share certificates linked to the former Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele. Justice Adeyinde Dikpeolu ruled that neither Emefiele nor any other interested party contested the assets after an initial interim forfeiture. The court also noted that Emefiele failed to provide evidence linking its earnings from Zenith Bank or the Central Bank to the purchase of these properties. Emefiele denied connections to the companies under which the assets were bought, and these companies did not appear in court to claim ownership. Let's now tell you that the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau has located the wreckage of a helicopter that crashed into the Atlantic Ocean last Thursday while transporting Nigerian National Petroleum Limited workers from Port Harcourt. In a statement released on Thursday, NSIB Director of Public Affairs and Family Assistance, Bimbo Oladeji, confirmed that the Sikorsky SK-76 helicopter with registration 5NBQG was found approximately 0.775 nautical miles from the FPSO Adun at a depth of 42 meters. NSIB Director General Captain Alex Badi commended the search and recovery team's efforts, noting that preparations are underway to retrieve the helicopter for further investigation. The helicopter crashed into the ocean on October 24, 2024, with 8 people on board. So far, 5 bodies have been recovered, while 3 individuals remain unaccounted for. We bring you to the southwest of Nigeria, where the Lagos State Civil Society Coalition has condemned the recent bill proposed by the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Mudashiru Obasa, seeking to abolish the 37 local council development areas established by former governor of the state, who is now the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The group, in a press conference in Lagos, said the creation of the LCDAs has been the cornerstone of Lagos State's decentralized governance, bringing government closer to the people, fostering grassroots development, and ensuring that essential services reach every community. The Executive Director, Campaign Against Impunity, Shino Loremikan, also said the creation of the LCDAs is a key part of the legacy of President Tinubu, who did his best to ensure Lagos developed in a way that was sustainable, inclusive, and forward-looking.
We therefore call on the Lagos State House of Assembly to immediately withdraw the proposed bill. We urge all members of the Assembly to reflect on the long-term consequence of this action and consider the voices of the people they represent. In addition, we call on Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to stand by the legacy of his predecessors, particularly that of President Tinubu, by rejecting any attempt to tamper with the LCDAs. Such an attempt will be illegal, unconstitutional, null and void.
Let's now take you to Bayelsa State. An in-depth evaluation of the state's infrastructural development under the current administration involves scrutinizing a range of sectors. As a key stakeholder in Nigeria's oil industry, Bayelsa State is confronted with significant infrastructural challenges, notably environmental degradation, oil spills, pollution, restricted access to affordable health care, power supply shortages, educational disparities, inadequate clean water, and a considerable shortfall in vital infrastructure, including roads, bridges, and other essential facilities. In this report, News Central's correspondent Austin Azu investigates the effects of infrastructural deficiencies on residents of Yenagua, the state capital, and adjoining areas.
Bayelsa State has 8 local government areas, and each of the local government area is surrounded by water. Water seems to be available everywhere, but no clean water for consumption.
Water no there. See water now. Flood don't come. No water to drink, no water to bath. Nothing there.
And water say we dey buy before we dey buy 200, now it can be 350 naira. For 1 gallon, 350 naira, and so then they sell up. And if they want carry and go off for you, you go pay 500.
I mean, we are supposed to have water in this Bayelsa, but it's very hard for us to have water. We used to buy water from places.
Here in Yenegua, the Bayelsa State capital, these people you are seeing here, they are making good money out of the business supplying people water. They are here filling their jerry cans for them to take to their various customers across the metropolis.
No, I never think when I come Bayelsa at all. But the thing is just be they help us to alive and this. You will find instead of person go one day they beg of money, this business can help you to somebody myself.
This is the entrance to the Ministry of Water Resources, Yenegua, the Bayelsa State capital. This particular premises equally accommodates the board. We are informed that the ministry does not have a commissioner but has a PS that runs the affairs of the ministry and a GM that runs the affairs of the board. In an attempt to get answers to the questions about the water problem in Yenegua and environs, we met their absence.
Residents of Yenegua have expressed concerns regarding the extended power outage in the state capital and adjoining regions, which have persisted for nearly 3 months, significantly affecting local businesses and security.
I can say now it's more than 4 months now. We don't have light in Bayelsa State. And that thing is causing us big problem in Bayelsa right now. So light, you know, and armed robber, they follow some street. They catch people without knowing anything. Then they catch them, they collect food for their hand because of the darkness for the street.
Light is affect me. How many months now? I don't feel do my business. This month is making 4 months and day. When I buy 1,000 naira block, no go pass 1 hour. The block don't melt finish. May they help us.
On roads and infrastructure, some respondents praised the state governor for what they call evenly distributed projects across the 3 senatorial districts, while also emphasizing the need for high-quality projects that will endure over time.
But to be sincere, the state capital, we don't have enough roads. We have connectivity between roads. And one of the major problems we are having right now in Bayelsa State, the government tends to do roads and forget to put gutter. There is no advanced society that you build road without gutter.
Problems we have in Bayelsa State is this flooding of every street, everywhere. There is basically no good drainages to take away this water. And the issue of light is pathetic.
You know, Bayelsa is a state where we depend more on only the salary scheme and civil servant and all that. But we need more development, construction of road. If there are constructions of road and other things, we see that youth will be employed and will have something to do. So in terms of development and employment for youth and all those things, it's not all that better for now.
Addressing the concerns raised by the respondents, the state government assures that it has implemented measures to restore electricity to Yenegua and other areas, attributing the power outage to suspected vandals who have been arrested by security agencies.
When the state government, ably led by distinguished Senator Doidri, has been doing a lot, collaborating with Transmission Company of Nigeria, because that is the federal government agency that directly manages the tower. And it was the towers that were vandalized by vandals. And we've been able to arrest up to 14 persons. And we are working assiduously with the transition company so that power is restored.
As the primary role of government is to guarantee the welfare of its citizens and protection of lives and property, it is expected that the state government will commit to addressing the urgent needs of Bayelsans. In Yenegua for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
Away from the South to tell you that governance and grassroots government actually plays a vital role when it comes to the dividends of democracy to the people, and acknowledging these efforts is essential. The Sustainable Grassroots Governance Summit was held to highlight local governance and the key individuals driving grassroots development, celebrating those who are making significant contributions to progress in the Nigerian society. News Central's Chidima Ona tells us more in this report.
Key players in local development is crucial for the country, as local government representatives serve as direct links to community and are vital for sustainable development. Their role extends beyond policymaking to build trust, representation, and unity. The Nigerian Grassroots Governance Summit and Awards, held in Lagos, gathered influential figures, including esteemed commissioners, honorable ministers, government officials, and local leaders, to emphasize the significance of grassroots governance.
The local government is the closest to the people. It is where governance touches the lives of citizens most directly. Yet, in too many cases, this crucial tier is neglected, underfunded, and under-resourced. If we are to truly transform Nigeria as a people, if we are to truly lift the masses out of poverty, improve education, provide healthcare to the common man, then our local governments must be empowered to perform its role with efficiency, transparency, and compassion.
To transform the foundational structures of Nigerian communities, it is crucial to cultivate a network of diverse individuals and groups that have been pivotal in promoting local growth. At the gathering, speakers emphasized the important role grassroots representatives play in connecting government with citizens.
Grassroots governance is the foundation upon which strong democracies are built. It ensures that the power is distributed equitably, that citizens are engaged, and that decision-making is inclusive and participatory. When governance is rooted in local communities, it becomes more responsive, accountable, and effective.
The key thing is, how then do we ensure that people feel connected, people feel that they are being looked after, people feel that they are not being ignored and they are not being oppressed by those who are ruling over them. And that's why it's important that we look at how best we can ensure that governance gets to the grassroots in a way that matters, in a way that connects people and makes people feel that they are being looked after. And that's why I appreciate this summit today.
The event highlighted the transformative impact of local initiatives that unite communities and nurture the foundations of national progress from the grassroots level. In Lagos for News Central, I am Chidima Ona.
Many thanks for staying with us. The National Economic Council has recommended that President Bola Tinubu withdraw the tax reform bills currently before the National Assembly to allow for broader consultations. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde announced the Council's resolution on Thursday after the 144th NEC meeting held at the State House in Abuja. Speaking to journalists, Makinde explained that members agreed more time was needed to build consensus and deepen public understanding of proposed reforms. The Council's recommendation follows the recent endorsement of the tax bills by President Tinubu and the Federal Executive Council. The federal government promoted the reforms as a means to improve efficiency and reduce redundancies within Nigeria's tax systems. And now joining us to discuss this is a business and social policy analyst, Kenneth Ikenwa. Thank you so much, Mr. Ikenwa, for joining us.
Good evening, Laura. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
All right, you're welcome. So let me start by asking, which of the contentious issues by the Northern Governors Forum in Nigeria would you say is most alarming for you, looking at the rejection of the bill from them as regards their reservation?
Well, like the saying goes, the goldfish doesn't have a hiding place in any aquarium. Could hide behind a couple of waters, but definitely we found out. Back to your question, the most intriguing and alarming, quite eccentric and bizarre aspect of the bill, which a particular segment of the country is complaining about, and which they have that right to complain about, is the fact that, well, the bill addresses a new restructuring of the VAT administration, which administration and derivation, which means that VAT will actually be distributed according to where companies who produce certain products actually have their headquarters domiciled. Well, if you ask me, I think that quite is an unfair provision in that reform, in that bill, because when groundnuts were being produced in the north in the 60s, nobody actually domiciled those things. Those things and the revenue actually got to the center and was used to develop other parts of the country. And the same thing for oil. So when oil was being produced and is being produced in Niger Delta, we're not saying it must sit in Niger Delta. We take it to develop in other parts of the country. But it addresses, again, the issue of our economic structure and the extent to which there's equity, there's fairness, there's egalitarianism, and there's distributive justice when it comes to actually, people actually looking at revenue mobilization, revenue allocation formulas, and actually saying to yourself, if people actually produce a particular thing in a particular area, shouldn't they get more? So I think the bill can be overhauled to favor maybe more productive areas. And rather than having an all-condemning view about the bill, I think it should give the opportunity for other parts and other segments, other subnationals within the Confederation to actually sit up, attract foreign direct investment and foreign portfolio investments into their territories and become more productive. So it's a pari passu thing. For positive, yeah, there's a positive angle to this complaint, and there is a negative angle to this complaint that addresses the issue of equity, going back to our trajectory as a country since the 60s, when we put ourselves together and have a collective pulse for revenue.
Yeah, but then if you weight on a scale, would you say that the tax bills is actually, one that would hinder Nigeria's economic growth or that will foster it more? If we were to weigh which one would, if we were to weigh it in terms of if it would be advantageous or disadvantageous?
Well, it's important that we draw parallel lines between and differentiate between what we call economic growth and economic development. In terms of growth, I don't see any way that stopping or hindering the implementation of the tax reform bill for now will hinder economic growth. It will not hinder the per capita income growth. The only thing that can actually hinder that is fiscal irresponsibility and the lack of strategic planning, futuristic planning, to actually plan and to actually, project for income and ensure that all hands are on the deck to make the economy more productive. But what that bill could actually hinder is actually, in the true sense of the word, economic development. And that will mean that rather than have people sit down to start thinking of how they themselves can, begin to contribute to the tax rate of the country and get something back to their subnationals or to their territories, they will begin to rely on the collective purse. And that in itself stifles initiatives, stifles innovation, stifles creativity. So when you look at it, weighing it by differentiating between what we call economic growth, which has to do with per capita increase over time, and economic development, which has to do with, changes and modifications in the lives of the people, having new structures, having factories on ground that promote indirectly economic growth and income growth for people. Definitely a bill of this nature and the unnecessary contentions, which are quite cancerous, that it is causing and bringing about, will definitely be hindering economic development going forward. The question we should address is whether this will be in the short term or this will be in the long term. But I think in the long term, it is dangerous. And I think in the short term, it is to an extent quite dangerous if these issues are not addressed.
Okay, so you're saying there's a possibility that it probably might be dangerous when you look at the short term, I want to believe. And we know that Nigeria is aiming to attract more foreign direct investment. So when you look at the suspension of this tax bill now, does it send a mixed signal to international investors as regards, Nigeria's tax regime, Nigeria's tax inconsistencies, because people want to definitely do business with Nigeria, but then if they are not so clear as regards how and when or to whom they pay tax or in what guise or form these taxes would be paid, they probably might feel, probably subjected to some kind of economic inconsistencies, and that might deter them.
Well, that may not be the subject matter. That may not be the true picture. For now, if we look at it from the helicopter point of view, it would look as though it could hinder the attraction of foreign direct investment or foreign portfolio investments. But I think the major concerns of countries or of companies that may be coming into the country is the fact that they have to grapple with a multiplex of taxes. I call it a multiplex of taxes, not even just multiple taxation. Multiplex of taxes that actually hinder their operations. And so the suspension of the bill or the implementation of the bill will not in any way, in my view, contribute to the multiplier effect of either stifling attracting foreign direct investment or stifling, the inflow and the outflow of either FDIs or FPIs. But what we should actually be focusing on is how we can actually create a tax incentivized environment that will not only stimulate economic growth and development, attract foreign direct investment, attract organic indigenous investments, but this incentivized tax system, administration system, will promote, the flow of capital within the country, promote the accumulation of capital, and we can domicile manufacturing, domicile the growth of the real sector in Nigeria instead of funding growth of the real sectors of other economies and other countries outside Nigeria. So we must
the Nigerian government is trying to improve its fiscal. Kenneth, the Nigerian government is trying to improve its fiscal purse by, improving on its tax regime, whereby it can rake in more money. Basically, we're talking about revenue mobilization when we talk about expenditure and all that. So if we incentivize the tax administration, the possibility of the Nigerian government losing money, it's there. So what are the gains? So how do we balance this?
The Nigerian government will not be losing money if we have a more incentivized tax environment. The Nigerian government will be making more. There will be more productivity. There will be more willingness on the part of investors, on the part of Nigerians to actually deploy their resources and contribute to the economic growth, contribute to economic activities in the country. All right. So if that can be put in place, you will find out that there will be more productivity will lead to more generation of revenue, and more generation of revenue will lead to more generation of taxes for the federal government. Now, the clear issue here is the issue of instability. The clear issue here is the issue of the trust deficit. And when there's a trust deficit around the tax administration system, around the tax implementation system, what happens? The companies, corporate citizens, individual citizens begin to look for leakages in the system with which they can actually engage or indulge in tax evasion. So we have a bigger problem on our hands. We have a tax system that indulges tax evasion, that makes taxation look like a burden rather than a blessing on the going concern and the enterprise called Nigeria and the people in Nigeria, as it were. So if we can reshape, if we can reinvent, if we can rejig that taxes, bring the incentives, give people the motivation to be more productive and the motivation that comes from the sincerity of actually handling these taxes and the tax revenue properly, it will have a positive multiplier effect for the country going forward, and the government will actually be smiling.
Well,
so
I guess that's why
away from tax, we must address the issue of the trust deficit that has to do with the tax administration system.
Yeah, I guess that's why, the Nigerian government is trying to digitize the tax regime in the country. But then, Kenneth Ikenwa, thank you so much for sharing your profound thoughts with us. We appreciate that.
My pleasure. Good evening.
Good evening to you. Now, we head to Borno State, where after several days of darkness, business owners in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, are expressing relief and joy following the restoration of electricity. Local entrepreneurs had been struggling to keep their operations running, resulting to purchasing petrol to fuel generators at high costs. News Central's Marukarawa reports.
The experience of darkness in northern Nigerian state has been a major challenge for citizens. A businessman, Ibuka Okonko, from the faraway Anambra state, based in Maiduguri. The young businessman narrates how happy he was when electric power was restored.
Before there was light, it's not every work that I can do because not every of my engine that the generator can carry. So, but now there is light. The light can power all my engine, so I can do work very well now. So I'm very happy that the light is back. We are very happy. Why? Because without light, it's not easy at all. Even to get water in your house is very difficult. Meanwhile, then we also charge you the times 3 of what they are charging before. So it was very difficult for us these past 4-5 days that there was no light.
With electricity now restored, shop owners and other businessmen report an immediate boost in productivity and a significant reduction in operating expenses.
Kai, alhamdulillah, an kawo ta mun yi murna amma kafin a kawo da mun ji jiki. Muna using at least kullum sai mun kona gas na fetur kusan na 8,000-9,000. Bayan haka solan bai yi mana abubuwan da muke dole sai mun siya fetur. kuma daily sai mun kuna 8,000 9,000.
Ba wuta din dama yana da daɗi ai. Ya fi siyan wannan. Tunda idan ka siya katin 5,000 wannan ya fi mai na 20,000.
The recent restoration of electricity in Maiduguri has also brought a wave of relief to ice block business owners who had been grappling with the challenges of power outages.
Yanzu akwai wanda zai sayar a hannun dila zai sayar. Akwai wanda shi ma in ya saya sada zai sayar, to shi zaka samu lokacin kayan yake hawa zaka samu ya kai farashi kala uku. Ni ina da inji zan kunna zan sayarwa wancan, shi bai da inji, shi kuma in ya saya sayarwa zai yi. Akwai mai bukata daya biyu shi ma zai sayar. Kaga zai samu farashin hawa ne bai da gantin farashi guda daya.
The steady supply of electricity will go a long way to attract new businesses and foster economic growth. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Well, I'll tell you this, in a dazzling ceremony held on Saturday in Lagos, the annual Brandom Awards celebrated excellence in brand communication and marketing. The event, attended by industry leaders, creative minds and influencers, showcased innovative campaigns and highlighted outstanding contributions to the marketing sector.
The Brandom Awards, held annually, has quickly grown to become one of the most prestigious events in the communications industry in Nigeria and beyond. It was a night filled with glamour and African opulence, with the awards hosted in the heart of Lagos. A keynote speech was given by the convener of Brandom Awards, Joshua Ajayi, who emphasized the importance of adaptability in the fast-evolving landscape of brand communication.
Tonight, we celebrate the 35 under 35, the brightest stars in the Nigeria's marketing and communication industry. These talented professionals have not only mastered their craft, but have also demonstrated an innovative spirit that combines creativity with technology to deliver outstanding results.
The event recognized achievements in digital innovation, corporate social responsibility, and effective use of media and categories that speak to the evolving nature of the industry, especially with the current economic situation.
As we recognize tonight winners and inductees, let's also look toward the future. The marketing industry is evolving rapidly, and the pace of technological change is only set to increase. Yet, regardless of how advanced our tools become, the key to success always lies in how we use them to tell authentic stories, build trust, and of course, forge meaningful connections.
Those who are creative, who can think out of the box, that's when they thrive. You see, in troubled times, that's where creativity comes. And even at this time, you find so many brands doing very well. From our studies over the period, yes, the times are hard, but so many of them have been very creative.
Some of the night's top categories include Brand of the Year, Agency of the Year, a special category honoring emerging talent in brand communications, and News Central Television took home the coveted Fast Rising News Channel of the Year award, recognized for its impactful programs and fearless reporting. The night also featured a star-studded lineup of activities that kept guests entertained throughout the night.
We have been fearlessly reporting on what matters most, and this has given us the deserved attention. As you can see tonight, this is a well-deserved award. We intend to be the forefront and center of everything happening, not just Nigeria, but at Africa at large. That is the goal for us.
The Brandom Awards continues to inspire and uplift the communications industry, showcasing how creativity, strategic thinking, and dedication to excellence can drive both brands and agencies to new heights. The Brandom Awards continues to inspire and uplift the communications industry, showcasing how creativity, strategic thinking, and dedication to excellence can drive both brands and agencies to new heights. It also serves as an inspiration to the next generation of industry professionals, showing them what's possible with passion and commitment. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Bettina Nwili.
Now, Botswana President Mokgweetsi Masisi announced on Friday that they would step aside after preliminary results from the recent general elections indicated a major defeat for his party, the Botswana Democratic Party. Now, these are live feeds from Botswana. Of course, we have Bongani Siziba, who has been monitoring the situation as regards the election and the outcome so far, and the reaction of the people as regards how the election and the vote have swayed in favor of the coalition of about 3 parties, opposition parties, that have actually voted against the sitting president. Bongani, it's nice to have you, of course, channel or monitor this particular election. So let's understand what the situation is as regards how the election have panned out in Botswana.
These are the supporters that have come here to support the president-elect. As you can see, it's just leaving the big studios where you are just addressing the nation. And let me just speak to the citizens here. We are young guys. We've been struggling for 58 years with the BDP. We are very happy today. As youth, we have nowhere to stay. We have no land. We have foreigners here. We have accumulated land with the BDP. We are free guys today.
Yes, exactly. We are so grateful today as youth because youth, most of the youth are yes, because of the youth and they don't have job, they are unemployed. So today, I think because of UDC, now we can so appreciate what we have done because UDC we are happy. We know that they will create those jobs. Also, as youth, now we have a chance to share the ideas and to see how we can improve our economy as youth. Also, to create jobs, even as youth, we can now look forward and see what the government can come to meet us and make sure that we can do something as youth.
Yeah, no, it's Eric from Lidumadi. I'm very happy. I've been supportive to opposition parties, mostly Dumaboko. That's why I wrote this for him. Compliments, Mr. President. The new president of Botswana, the new party, everything is well. We are free. I'm happy. And all those people from Lidumadi, Botswana, all over. Hello, Botswana! We are free! Viva UDC! Viva!
Yes, you can see those supporters there. They are in a very jovial mood. We can see the president was just addressing the nation with some key points. He talked about youth engagement, also creating employment for those who are unemployed, access to education. And you know that Botswana depends on diamonds, and he was also saying, alluding to what the former president Masisi said, that they haven't got much selling of diamonds rather in the past years, so that's why the economy is going down. But there is a new sheriff in the town here in Botswana. As we have seen, citizens are so happy. But we will still continue talking to citizens just to hear their views about the new government.
All right, thank you so much, Bongani Siziba. I don't know if I can just, quickly ask you just one question before we move on. I'd like to understand the person who has actually, won the election that they are favoring to be the new leader in the country in terms of his political pedigree to actually drive a new conversation as regards well-being for the people, economic emancipation for the country, and growth for the populace in the country, what they are saying or what they see in that person to actually drive that change?
I think for the Botswana, especially for the youth, it's about change. Like I've been talking to the youth on the election day about the economy, unemployment, health, access to healthcare. These are the things that they are talking about, that they want the new president just for an economy that is vibrant. Botswana, when you look at Botswana, its economy in the past years, it has gone down, and so the citizens are talking about their economy. Job creation is one of the key points that the president spoke about, and also the transformation of infrastructure. So those are some of the things that the youth are also looking forward to. I also got to ask him a question about what he's going to do 100 days into office. He also addressed that he's going to engage, he's a listening president, and he's going to engage the public, especially in business. And he also spoke up at length about investors, that each country needs investors, and that is what he's going to look at, especially 100 days into the power.
All right, thank you so much, Bongani Siziba. We'll continue to keep tabs with you to get more details from the happy people in Botswana right now. Thank you so much. Kenya's government has announced plans to reintroduce some of the tax hikes that sparked deadly protests earlier this year, while the new deputy president was sworn in after weeks of drama. President William Ruto scrapped an unpopular finance bill in June after the protests. But Kenya's government desperately needs to boost revenues as it struggles under around $80 billion in debt. It has prepared 3 new tax and finance bills to be introduced soon in Parliament and sent out an explainer to the media on Friday. Several proposals from the scrapped finance bill are being reintroduced, including VAT hikes and new taxes on digital sector. The latter means freelancers working in food delivery and the ride-hailing apps, which have become vital sources of income in recent years, will have to pay income tax for the first time. North Korea says it will stand by Russia until its victory in its war with Ukraine. This comes amid growing fears that the country will get involved in the conflict. North Korean Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hui made this statement after talks with her Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov in Moscow. She was in Moscow as the West says thousands of North Korean troops are in Russia and will possibly be used in Ukraine. The U.S. has said that 8,000 North Korean soldiers are training in Russia and could be deployed to fight in Ukraine. President Vladimir Putin signed a mutual assistance pact with North Korea's Kim Jong-un when he visited Pyongyang this summer.
인민공화국은 미국과 서방이 강권과 전횡을 끝장내고 새로운 국제 질서를 수립하기 위한 정의의 싸움에 영약돌쳐 나선 러시아 군대와 인민이 푸틴 대통령 동지의 현명한 용도 밑에 반드시 승리를 이룩하리라는 데 대해서 믿어 의심치 않으며 승리일 그날까지 언제나 러시아 동지들과 함께 있을 것이라는 것을 확언하는 바입니다.
Talking business now, Nigeria's federal government has signed a £17.9 million agreement with the European Union and the German government to advance off-grid electricity through the Nigerian Energy Support Program called NESP. Now in its third phase, the program aims to bolster investments in renewable energy, energy efficiency and rural electrification. According to the EU, this initiative will enable 154,000 Nigerians access to electricity and connect 30,000 others to clean cooking gas with a projected 8 megawatts of electricity generated. Launched in 2013, NESP is a technical assistance program co-funded by the EU and Germany's Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, implemented with Nigeria's Federal Ministry of Power. We talk sports now. Top officials of Star Times, which recently ended its ₦1 billion 5-year broadcasting deal with the Nigerian Premier Football League, are currently in talks with the NPFL representatives and other stakeholders to resolve issues from their short-lived partnership. The broadcaster terminated the agreement last week, citing multiple breaches by the NPFL. Originally, the deal aimed to broadcast 2 matches weekly, increasing to 4 and then 8 in later seasons, with an annual revenue growth of ₦50 million expected through 2028. However, the broadcaster expressed frustration with limited access to pitch panels, frequent last-minute match cancellations, and operational challenges at match venues, claiming these issues disrupted programming and obligations to sponsors. Now, Manchester United have appointed Ruben Amorim as their new head coach. The 39-year-old former Portuguese international midfielder will move to Old Trafford from Lisbon club Sporting on November 11 and has signed a contract until June 2027. Former United striker Ruud van Nistelrooy, who took charge on an interim basis after Erik ten Hag was sacked on Monday, will stay on for the club's next 3 fixtures. Amorim is the 6th permanent manager United have appointed since Sir Alex Ferguson's 26-year reign ended with his retirement in 2013. Let's also tell you that Elena Rybakina has appointed former Wimbledon champion Goran Ivanisevic as a coach from next season. The world number 5 won her first and so far only Grand Slam title at Wimbledon in 2022 with former coach Stefano Vukov. Ivanisevic, who memorably won Wimbledon as a wild card in 2001, previously worked with Novak Djokovic for 6 seasons. He helped Djokovic to 12 of his 24 major titles and also oversaw Marin Cilic's US Open triumph in 2014. Kazakhstan's Rybakina has not played since the US Open in August, having withdrawn before her second-round match. She split with the long-term coach Vukov just before the final Grand Slam of the season. And that's all at this hour, but before we go, we'll look at our top stories again. Court grants 10 million naira bill each to 67 minors of End Bad Governance protest. Kenya reintroduces controversial tax reforms, swears in new deputy presidents. We also told you that Botswana's president, Masisi, concedes defeat, pledges smooth transition amid election upset. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for being part of our news. I am Lekan Onabanjo.